Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How are you all doing on this Thursday morning? This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? We are almost there. Weekend is not far away now. It's almost here. I hope you guys are all doing well. We're going to look at the local weather here in London. We're going to look at today's daily candle quote. And we're going to look at news mainly from the world. We'll be looking at from the Associated Press, NBC News, ABC News, CBS, Al Jazeera, Africa News, Kiev Independent, and Euro News. I may add a couple more on top depending on how long we go here. But I hope you guys are all doing well. Ellie Chaos, good morning. Stephen Banker, Mikey Famine there. Famine, if I said that right. Good morning to you too. So let's dive straight into it, guys. Let's look at the weather today on the Thursday, the 10th of July, 2025, here in London. It is 8 in the morning and it is already 20 degrees. That tells you everything you need to know about how warm it is going to be today. Yeah, not good. Not good, guys. 29 degrees. So it is expected to be sunshine non-stop all the way until sunset. Temperature expected to reach as highest as 29 degrees. I'm not sure whether even I'm going to go for a walk today. I do have everything prepared for literally as soon as I finish this live stream. I don't know if I'm going to do the walk or not. I might even just do a short one instead. I do have a lot of work to do today as well, so I'll have to bear that in mind as well. But yes, it's going to be very warm here. I imagine it'll be a lot warmer on the coast of England, on the south coast of England there. As for the temperatures for the rest of the week, Friday is expected to hit 30 degrees with sunshine pretty much from sunrise until sunset is what they are forecasting here on the weather app. On Saturday, they are predicting 29 degrees there with sunshine again from sunrise to sunset. Again, like these next couple of days are going to be sizzling hot, guys. Sunday, sunny but cloudy, but temperatures are still going to be very high at 28 degrees. Again, it's going to be very, very warm. And on Monday, the temperatures will start dropping a little bit to 26 degrees. And I only say a little bit, it's not that much there. Sunny but cloudy. Tuesday, 23 degrees is going to be quite a significant drop there on Tuesday. So Tuesday will be a bit of a respite, although it's still going to be fairly warm. And then Wednesday it will rise to 25 degrees, Thursday to 27 degrees, Friday to 25, and Saturday to 26. So those are roughly, so the average temperature for the next mostly days is going to be above 25 or more, essentially. Tuesday is going to be the only kind of respite day that we will have. So we're going to have a lot of humidity. And as you guys know, I don't like humidity in any way, shape, or form. I despise it. So again, like I really do have to emphasize this, guys and girls, really about please make sure you drink plenty of fluids. Please make sure you stay hydrated. Please take all necessary precautions. Please make sure you have a drink at your bedside as well. I do strongly recommend that. Even if it's not cold water, just have something on your bedside because it can really make a difference to helping you sleep. Obviously, you don't need the quilt really necessarily during these heat waves. I still personally need the quilt, believe it or not. My missus doesn't, but I do. I'm a weird person. Ice in the ice tray. Please, if you have pets, please make sure they have plenty of water as well, just in case. We're quite fortunate where we are because we have a pond in our garden. So if Jasper ever needs extra water, he can go there. But to be fair, he doesn't drink that much from the bowl anyway. He normally drinks from there. But as also as well, when these temperatures are really, really high, I don't recommend having the windows open and the curtains opened during these heat waves. What I recommend is the windows shut and the curtains shut. And then normally in the evening when the sun has gone down, that is when to open the windows and open the windows to let some air in, because you want to keep that heat out of the house if you possibly can. But it varies, I would say, on that as well. But yes, it's going to be very, very warm today, guys. So that is today's local weather. That heat wave's coming, and in 10 years, yeah, I don't want to know what's going to be like in 10 years, Ellie. But yeah, it's really, really, really not going to be nice at all. That's for sure. So today's Daily Candor quote is an unknown, so we don't know the name of the person who's done it, but there it is there, just for reference, because as you guys know, don't like to be issue guys when it comes to the Daily Candor quote. So here it is for the 10th of July. The most treasured gifts are the meaningful moments that we create with people we love. They become priceless memories decorating our lives. So I'll read it again one more time for those. Today's daily quote is, the most treasured gifts are the meaningful moments we create with people that we love. They become priceless memories decorating our lives. For me, when I think about this quote in particular, about priceless memories, that's why I take so many pictures, so many photos, so many videos when I go to places and I do things, because those moments don't come back. Even when I was younger, I used to take a lot of photos, and when I'm older in life, I want to be able to look back on my life and see all the memories and moments that I've had, so that I can know that I've done all these things. That's why I feel like it's really compelling for anyone listening, that it's like really do take pictures, take photos whenever you possibly can, because you never know when the next time you'll see that person or next time you'll have a moment with them. It really, really is important. Those moments and memories, yes, the memories are important, but sometimes as we get older, our memory is not always as good as it used to be. And just by having photos and videos, it can kind of restart our memory, joint our memory, jolt it, shall we say? That's the word I'm using for of those memories. So that's why I really do take photos and videos really, really seriously. Tomorrow's one is also an unknown quote. It's much more, not as detailed as today's one, but if you want to see tomorrow's daily quote, you need to join me again for tomorrow, for Friday. It will be the last Good Morning show of the week there. Get loads of hot water bottles and fill them with cold water. Done it for years. Rarely have sleep issues due to heat using them. That's a great idea. If you can do that, guys. Obviously, fill up a jug of water in the fridge, and then fill that up into your hot water bottle, and then obviously wrap it around you to help you sleep if it is too warm. That's a great suggestion there, Ali. Thank you for that suggestion. Right, let's have a look at some of this news that we've got, guys. Oh dear. To be fair, I don't know how much of this. I'm probably going to be covering plenty of this, if I'm honest. I'm going to be covering plenty of this anyway during tonight anyway. Unless of course other things get in the way. So we'll start with this from the Associated Press, guys. So Trump's tariff goods from Brazil at 50%, citing a witch hunt trial against the country's former president. So for those who aren't aware, a bit of context. So the former Brazilian president, Joshua Bolsonaro, is on trial for corruption charges as well as other things. And obviously, because he's a right-winger, and he was responsible for destroying quite a lot of the Amazon rainforest when he was in charge, among other damage that he was doing to the country. He's become quite a good friend of Donald Trump. And obviously, Donald Trump does not like the current president, does not like the direction that Brazil is currently going at the moment. And so he's going to use his influence on Brazil to try and basically get him, to try and get this trial, or try to basically intimidate, I think is the right word, intimidate Brazil into basically dropping the case against Bolsonaro, which is like, well, it's none of your damn business. But so this is his way of trying to hurt the country by imposing higher tariffs than needed be, all because his so-called friend is in a trial. So President Donald Trump has singled out Brazil for import taxes of 50% on Wednesday for its treatment of its former president, Jair Bolsonaro, showing that personal grudges rather than simple economics are driving force in the UK's leader's use of tariffs. Yeah, so he's literally using the tariffs to basically to harm Brazil, all because of what's happened to Jair Bolsonaro. Trump avoided his standard form from letter from Brazil, specifically tying his tariffs to the trial of Bolsonaro, who was charged with trying to overthrow the 2022 election loss. Oh, yes, of course, that as well. Trump has described Botswana as a friend and hosted the former Brazilian president at his Mar-a-Lago resort when they were both in power in 2020. This trial should not take place, Trump wrote in a letter posted on Truth Social. It's a witch hunt and should end immediately. Yeah, because Donald Trump knows everything about the case, obviously. He knows all about the case there. Good morning, or should I say good evening, Stephen McMahon. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you are doing well. This is a sense of kingship, as Trump was indicated in 2023 for his efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 US presidential election. The US president addressed his tariff letter to the Brazilian president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who beat Botswana in 2022. The CEO responded with a forceful statement saying that Trump's tariffs would trigger the country's economic reciprocity laws, which allows trade, investment, and intellectual property agreements to be suspended against countries that harm Brazil's competitiveness. He noted that the US had had a trade surplus of more than $410 billion with Brazil over the past 15 years. Quote, Brazil is a sovereign country with independent institutions and will not accept being taken for granted by anyone, Lucia said. Botswana testified before the country's Supreme Court in June over the alleged plot to remain in power after his 2022 election loss. Judges will hear from 26 other defendants in the coming months, and legal analysts say a decision could come as early as September. Country's electoral authorities have already barred Botswana from running for office until 2030. Yeah, so there is this possibility that he can run again, which obviously would not be good for the country. The former president did not comment about Trump's tariff decision on his social media channels, but wrote that he's being politically persuaded. In his statement, Lula defended the country's legal system, saying the proceedings against those who planned a coup d'etat is a competitive of the Brazilian judiciary and is not subject to interference or threats that harm the independence of national institutions. I'm kind of glad that he's not directly attacking Trump in America. He's kind of just like ignoring him, not really giving him more carrot or fire, really. Trump also objects to Brazil's Supreme Court's findings of social media companies, saying our temporary blockage last year amounted to secret and unlawful censorship orders. Trump said he's launching an investigation as a result under the Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, which applies to countries with trade partners that are deemed unfair to US companies. This is about social media once again having its influence over the rest of the world. We really need to get a grip on this. We need to get a grip on this. These American companies can have this is something that really needs to be done and more of. And I'm glad the Supreme Court stood tall, but we need other countries to be more stronger. I mean, obviously Europe are looking to take necessary steps against social media, but the UK as well as other nations outside of Europe need to do more to take action against these social media companies, because they are a threat to us. Just 1 second. Thank you so much, Steve McMahon, for the $5 New Zealand dollars. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. I hope you are doing well, my friend. So among the companies the Supreme Court fined was X, which was not mentioned specifically in Trump's letter. X is owned by Elon Musk, Trump's multi-billionaire backer in the 2024 election, whose time leading Trump's government department efficiency recently ended and led to a public feud over the US president's deficit budget plans. Trump also owns the social media company Truth Social. Yeah, nobody uses actual Truth Social for any conversation. They only just use it just to follow Trump, and he'll wait for him to say something. In Brazil, freedom of speech is not mistaken by aggression or violent behavior, Lula said in his statement. To operate in our country, every company, local or foreign, must be subject to Brazilian legislation. And Trump, like Botswana, want to break that. Brazilian lawmakers aligned with Lula blamed Botswana for two of his sons, Congressman Eduardo and Senator Flavio Botswana, for Trump tariff actions. Senator Lambra Forrest, the whip of Lula's Workers' Party in the Senate, said on social media that the Botswanos must be very happy to harm Brazil, our economy, and our jobs. The Brazil letter was a reminder that politics and personal relations with Trump matter just as much as any economy fundamentals. And while Trump has said that the high tariffs rates he is setting is based on trade imbalances, it was unclear by his Wednesday's actions how the country would be targeted to help reindustrialize America. The tariffs start on the 1st of August, and it would be a dramatic increase from the 10% rate that Trump levied on Brazil as part of the April the 2nd Liberation Day announcement. In addition to oil, Brazil sells orange juice, coffee, iron, and steel to the US, among other products. The US ran a $6.8 billion trade surplus with Brazil last year, according to the Census Bureau. Could you imagine, like, we talked about, I mentioned before, like, what if Mexico stops sending the necessary things to America? Imagine all the countries that supply America with the things that they have. Imagine all these countries just stop trading with them. Like, just how things would just flip in America would just be insane. People would panic. People would panic not having their usual things. Trump initially announced these broad tariffs by declaring an economic emergency, arguing that a 1977 law that the US was at risk because of a persistent trade imbalance. But that rationale becomes problematic in this particular case, as Trump is linking his tariffs to the Botswana trial, and the US exports more to Brazil than it imports. Yeah, it's just a personal. It's for Trump. It's just personal because he considers him a friend and an ally. Trump also sent letters on Wednesday to leaders of 7 other nations, none of them, the Philippines, Burundi, Moldova, Algeria, Libya, Iraq, and Sri Lanka, are major industrial rivals to the United States. Most economic analysis said the tariffs will worsen inflationary pressures and subtract from economic growth, but Trump has used the taxes as a way to assert his diplomatic and financial power of the US on both rivals and allies. His administration is promising that the taxes on imports will lower trade imbalances, offset some of the cost of the tax cuts he signed into law on Friday, and cause factory jobs to return to the United States. Okay, this factory jobs thing is not going to happen. Trump, during the White House meeting with African leaders, talked up trade as a diplomatic tool. Trade, said he, seems to be a foundation for him to settle disputes between India, Pakistan, as well as Kosovo and Serbia. He really... I saw a clip from his chat with African leaders, and he was getting bored. He was getting bored from it. So he was I think he was like ushering someone to, like, can we hurry up and get out of here? Like like he really did not want to spend time with them, which is very sad. You guys are going to fight and we are not going to trade, Trump said, and we seem to be quite successful in doing that. Trump said the tariff rates in his letters were based on common sense and trade imbalances. Even though that Brazil's letter indicted otherwise, Trump has suggested he had not thought of penalising the countries whose leaders were meeting with him in the Oval Office. Libya, Senegal, Gabon, Moala, and Guinea-Bissau, as these are friends of mine now. So he's not going to... So because he met these countries in the Oval Office, he's going to treat them differently. Okay. Countries are not complaining about the rates outlined in these letters. He said, even those tariffs that are generally close to the ones announced on April the 2nd, that rattled the financial markets. The S&P 500 stock rose on Wednesday. We haven't really had too many complaints because I'm keeping them at very low number, very conservative, as you would say, Trump says. Yeah, as far as what's happening with regards to the trial with the former Brazilian president, it's not America's business, it's not Trump's business, and Brazilians should not have to suffer as a direct result just because his friend is in trial for a case. Now, obviously, we don't know whether he's found guilty or not. The case rightfully needs to be heard in front of the judges, and they need to make that decision. Obviously, the perception from the outside, most outside perspective, is that he's guilty. Excuse me. It's so warm in here. As I said, it's 20 degrees. The outside perspective is that it is that he is guilty. But of course, he like everybody else, is entitled to a fair trial, and Botswana must be entitled to a fair trial. Now, it's also important to add as well is that he still has his fair share of supporters. There are still a lot. He still has his fair share of supporters, despite damage that he has done to the country and the damage that he's done to the Amazon rainforest, among other things. He is still popular amongst certain groups of sections in Brazilian society. So it's not like that he's the most number one hated man. He can still run, and he could still win if he wanted to. From at the moment, he could still run in 2030, and he could potentially be the Brazilian president again, which would, I think, be very, very bad for Brazil, as well as bad globally as well, if that was to happen. I think we should all stop trading with America. Flip the script. Yeah, it would cause mass panic. It would cause mass panic, and Trump would bend if such a thing was to happen. But obviously, when the outcome of that trial will be heard, obviously we will hear from it, no doubt, guys. So the continuation of what's happening with regards to. Let me make sure this is right. With regards to the Texas floods, obviously we know that more than 100 people have died, and the work is still continuing day and night to find the remaining people. An exclusive from NBC News is after the Texas floods, questions about FEMA futures loom large. So the Home Security Secretary Kristi Noem has been exerting more direct control of the agency, which President Donald Trump has talked about getting rid of. So they want to get rid of FEMA. Do you really think that's a very good idea? So the devastating flood that has killed nearly 120 people is the first high-profile disaster the Federal Emergency Management Agency has faced during the current Trump administration. But while the loss of life has been catastrophic, former and current FEMA officials told NBC News that the relatively small geographic area affected means it is not a true test of what the agency, whose full-time staff have been shrunk by a third, is capable of doing in the wake of a disaster. The real trial could come later this summer, they say, when there is always a real threat that a hurricane could hit several states. As the agency's future is debated, President Donald Trump has talked about the possibility of getting rid of it. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who oversees it, has tightened her grip. Noem now requires that all agencies spending over $100,000 be personally approved by her, according to current and former FEMA officials. To prevent delays on the ground, on Monday, FEMA officials created a task force to speed up the process of getting Noem's approval, according to two people familiar with that unit. Yeah, so they have to sucker up to her in order to Kristi Noem in order to get what they need. But that's how sad the situation is now. Obviously, we've seen the Texas floods there. You can see from one side there to the other, like just how devastating it's been there. While Noem has been exercising more direct control of the agency, there is a void created by large voluntary exodus of FEMA leaders. In May, the agency announced an internal email that the departure of 16 senior officials who took with them a combined disaster expertise of more than 200 years. Yeah, because getting rid of, cost cutting is the argument. They need to obviously clear more cost cutting, guys. That's their argument. And it's only going to get worse, for Americans. DHS and its components have taken an all-hands-on-deck approach to respond to every recovery effort in Kennerville, a DHS spokesperson said in a statement to NBC News. Under Secretary Noem and Acting Administrator David Richardson, FEMA is shifting from bloated, DC-centric dead weight to a lean, deployable disaster force that empowers state actors to provide relief for their citizens. The old processes are being replaced because they fail Americans in real emergencies for decades, Secretary Noem, and delivering accountability to U.S. taxpayer, which Washington bureaucrats have ignored for decades at the expense of American citizens. This is putting American lives directly at risk. This decision here is putting American lives at risk in doing so. Yeah, because if you generally care about protecting American citizens, protecting the lives of others, you don't cut something like this. You increase its budget is what you will do, not cut it. And on Wednesday afternoon, officials gathered for a second meeting of the FEMA Review Council, in which the president had set up to determine the agency's future role. Trump told reporters in early June that we want to wean off of FEMA and we want to bring it down to state level. As of now, FEMA still has the same mandate and is managing more than 700 open disasters, according to Chris Colu, who tracks and audits the agency of the Government Accountability Office. They are not doing anything different, they are just doing it with less people, he said in an interview. While the push to get states to do more has some supporters, even at FEMA, some Republican members of Congress have taken care to defend the agency in light of the disastrous floods. The role of FEMA is critically important, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas has told reporters on the Capitol Hill this week. I think everyone also agrees reform that makes FEMA more nimble, able to respond more quickly to disasters. Those reforms are beneficial, but regardless of the precise structure, the role is critical. For all the hatred that I have of Ted Cruz and what a terrible person he is here, it sounds like to me that he's not so keen to see it getting cut to the bone, which is what the government says, because he's fully aware that if it is cut really too much, more people will die from future disasters, and there will be future disasters in Texas. That is definitely going to come one way or another on there. But obviously, the floods. Obviously, the work is still being done to try and help as many people as they can in those. With regards to this disaster, and I really hope that some people are found alive. I really hope so, rather than the possibility that they may be dead. only time will obviously tell on that, guys. Stephen Moore, thank you again for the $5 New Zealand. Really appreciate it. Ellie says he thinks he has the cards countries on its knees. Please, that actually changed very quickly and leveled the field, man. Yeah, he talked all, but he bragged about it before, and then he pulled back on it, didn't he? He did pull back on it before. Mikey Famine says FEMA is more heavily reliant upon the southern states that are in hurricane range. I'm in Chicago, and we have tornadoes, but we also have insurance and state programs. Well, I'm glad you've got you guys got insurance and state programs, but obviously Chicago has obviously, as I'm sure you're fully as sure, I think you've got more reliable people in charge in Chicago than they do in Texas, because they understand about doing everything they can to protect lives. Obviously, there are more weather obviously in geography wise. We've seen Florida, Texas, and other parts of America suffer a lot more there. It's a real shame that they are cutting FEMA. Like, I know we know obviously that there have been questions about obviously they've made cuts to the National Weather Service, which everyone relies on in terms of weather reports as well, in order to inform people before disasters happen. And that in itself has been incredibly scary for people out there too. I really am. Like, I just don't want people to die, put politics aside for 1 second. I just don't want people to die as a direct result of decisions made by the government to cut certain departments that will lead to the deaths of people. And it just means more stress and more workloads for those in those departments who've already have plenty of work on their hands and now going to have even more work on their hands. And it is I do fear for Americans. I really do, and I fear for all you guys out there. Abbott sent asylum seekers here in the winter with no winter clothes on the coach buses in the middle of the night. We housed and fed them. That's absolutely terrible that they were sent with not out any winter clothes. Yeah, I've seen your winters, correct me if I'm wrong, are really quite chilling in Chicago during the winter period. Good morning, Billy Kershaw. Hope you are doing well. So I want to take you guys to this one other story before we go through all the news. This one more story, because this one I saw last night. I know it's a bit of an old one, but it's kind of very scary there. So Donald Trump has suggested taking over New York City and Washington. He claimed tremendous power at the White House to run places if needed. So this is what he said. So President Donald Trump on Tuesday suggested a federal takeover of New York City and Washington. The comments come when Trump, during a meeting of his cabinet at the White House, was asked about New York City's upcoming mayoral election. Trump attacked Democratic candidate Zoltan Mandami, who described himself as a Democratic socialist, and ticked through other contenders, including Eric Adams, Andrew Cuomo, and Curtis Siller, though he declined to endorse anyone. We're not going to have if a communist gets elected to run New York, it can never be the same. That we have tremendous power at the White House to run places when we have to, Trump says. He didn't elaborate on what authorities would be, as he then turns his focus to the nation's capital. We could run D.C. We're looking at D.C. We don't want crime in D.C. We want the city to run well, he said. He said his chief of staff, Susie Wells, is working on Washington at Mayor Muriel Bowser. Now, these comments here, like, yes, it can just sound a lot like scare tactics and whatnot. -7 degrees. Ouch. God, I feel for you guys. -7. Jesus. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry, because I'm looking at the comments. Appreciate your comments, guys. I really do. I just hope these are empty threats from Trump, like he always does with empty threats. The possibility of him taking over New York or Washington, like, it's just because he doesn't like the way people voted in New York City, is very, very. For me, it's very scary. It's very scary that he's making these comments. And I just hope that they're empty words. I really, really hope they're empty words. Zoltan Mandami will fight tooth and nail. There's obviously they didn't rule out the possibility of deporting Zoltan Mandami as well, which again it's just outrageous. because he was he was voted. I mean, obviously, he still needs to win. He still needs to win the mayoral race, and he's going to fight like hell because that's exactly who he is. But it really does scare me that Trump is making these threats, like these really nasty threats. I honestly expect Zoltan Mondami to win, and what's Trump going to do? Basically, is he going to send the army in to take over New York City? Are they just going to arrest and send Mondami packing? It's just so outrageous. I mean, the very thought of doing that is just, it's extremely sickening. It's sickening to the core that Trump makes these comments. And you know, Mondami has already spoken many times about how his life has been. He's had people threatening his life. He's had his family's lives threatened because this is how dangerous it is. He knows, and his family are fully aware of the dangers of what he is doing because of him being a Muslim. Because people consider it a threat to America just because of the color of the skin and because of who he is. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I really wish more Democrats would get behind him. They're not helping the situation in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, they should be taking pages and notes out of how he won the Democratic nomination. You know, how he beat the likes of Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams. I just hope he can pull through. And I really hope that these are just empty words from Donald Trump, because that's one thing he does do a lot of. He does a lot of talky Donald Trump, and I just hope that's all it is at the end of the day, guys. Let me just open up one more there. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's have a look and see what various newses are saying. We're going to start, and we'll go through them piece by piece. So this is the front of the Associated Press this morning here. So they start on the front here. They've got Russia hits Kiev with more missiles and drones causing fire and killing 2. It also says that Ukrainian officials worry a sabotage campaign blamed on Russia is growing more dangerous. Italy opens Ukraine's rebuilding conference as doubts of US defenses help remain. Russia's foreign minister is to visit North Korea this week in the latest sign of expanding ties. That's something that there tells me that Russia are going to be seeking to gain more soldiers from North Korea, from the sounds of it there. I honestly think that's what it is there, more than anything, and obviously to continue their relationship, because Russia does not want to rely on its own soldiers, and they are running out of bodies to throw in the meat grinder. Trump's tariff goods from Brazil at 50%. We talked about that already. A look at the countries that received Trump's tariff letters. Rubio will meet Russian foreign minister in Malaysia with Ukrainian tensions high. So the Trump administration has predicted 90 trade deals in 90 days. So far there's been 2. One of them's been with us, the United Kingdom. Trump promises West African leaders their pivot to trade as the region reels from sweeping aid cuts there. On the right-hand side there, a click to cancel rule intended to make cancelling subscriptions easier is blocked. Former Love Island star, not really interested in that. Musk AI scrubs inappropriate post after Grok chatbot makes anti-Semitic comments. Yeah, so for those who don't know, Grok, the AI bot on the social media platform X, has been citing a lot of Hitler references. Yeah, it's gone fascist, basically, the bot. A 13-year-old suspect of setting off fireworks that sparked Southern California wildfire. Why do people keep setting off fires? Taiwan begins a 10-day military drills to counter Chinese threats. Yep, they need to do their own drills because China are doing a lot on them at the moment. UN issues sanctions against US issues a sanctions against UN investigator probing abuses in Gaza. Why? Because she's doing her job. The Trump administration announced on Wednesday that it's issuing sanctions against an independent investigator tasked with probing human rights abuses in Palestinian territories, the latest efforts by the US to punish critics of Israel's 21th war in Gaza. State Department's decision to impose sanctions on Francesca Albanese, the UN special reporter for the West Bank and Gaza, follows an unsuccessful US pressure campaign to force the international body to remove her from the post. It also comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is visiting Washington this week. to meet President Trump and other officials in the war and more. It is unclear what practical impact the sanctions will have or whether the independent investigator will be able to travel to the US with diplomatic paperwork. I've got a funny feeling she's going to have trouble. The chances are they may probably stop her coming to the US. Albanese, an Italian human rights lawyer, has been vocal about what she's described as a genocide by Israel against Palestine in Gaza. Both Israel and the US, which provides military support to its close allies, strongly denied the accusation, even though there's hundreds of photos and videos that say otherwise. The US has previously addressed concerns with Albanese head-on because it has not participated in either of the two of the Human Rights Council sessions this year, including the summer the session that ended Tuesday. This is because the Trump administration withdrew the US earlier this year. In recent weeks, Albanese has issued a series of letters urging other countries to pressure Israel, including through sanctions, to end its deadly bombardment of the Gaza Strip. She has also been a strong supporter of the International Criminal Court's arrest and warrants against Israeli officials, including Netanyahu, for allegations of war crimes. She most recently issued a report naming several large US companies as among those aiding what she describes as Israel's occupation on the war in Gaza. This is the US. The US and Israel are trying to stop people saying, "Hey, leave Israel alone. Let it continue doing what it's doing." And everyone's saying, "No, we know exactly what's going on. You should be stopping what you're doing." And she's like, they're going. It just feels like to me this sounds like they're just trying to silence as many people as they possibly can on this. She is one of many people that the US and Israel are going to go after. South Korean court approves the new arrest of the former president Song Lee-sao over martial law degree. I thought he was already in prison. For other crimes, but I guess there's more there. Zero, Dexter, and Stinky Mama, says Billy. Still here, Mikey. Was going to ask you, but you said you were going. Gotta run, everyone. Like the video. Thanks, Mikey. Appreciate your comments. All good. And thank you, Steve McMahon, for the $5 zillion. I can't click like on it for some reason yet. 1 second. Wait. I always have to, for some reason, there's always something in the way on my phone for me to click it, which is very, very annoying. Right, what else is there? Yemen Houthi rebels release video of attack on Eternity Sea vessel in the Red Sea. Thank you for those super chats. Very generous of you, my friend. Thank you. House swept away as flash flood hits a mountain village in New Mexico. I saw. Well, I didn't show you it yesterday. Actually, I might show you guys before we go. It's absolutely shocking. Actually, another video being swept away. It's very scary. Yemen Houthi rebels released video of the deadly attack on the cargo ship. Yeah, this is the ship they sank. The Houthis, the Yemenis rebels, if you want to call them that, targeting it. Actually, let me see before we go to the next news article. Let me see. I think I've still got the bookmarks because I clear my bookmarks. I'm just seeing if I've still got it up on here. Yes, I do. Can I find that clip? I should have the clip. Oh yeah, it was from Sky News as well. Absolutely insane. An entire house. That's frightening. Entire house, guys. Absolutely terrifying. Like, the occupants of the property have already been moved to safety when the flooding struck, according to local reports. But my God, an entire house. Entire house swept away. Absolutely frightening. Absolutely frightening indeed. Yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. This is NBC News here. So we looked at the exclusive already. Dozens of workers rescued in Los Angeles tunnel collapsed. Oh my God. What happened to this tunnel? Sorry. All 31 workers were safe after the collapse of an 18-foot in diameter tunnel that is part of the wastewater management project in the Wilmore section, of the city officials said. Oh my God, it collapsed. 31 workers were rescued. Some are hosted to safety in a cage after a tunnel collapsed in a Los Angeles construction project Wednesday night, officials said and video showed. There were no injuries to the incident in Wilmore section of the city where a wastewater management project was underway, the Los Angeles Fire Department said. Tonight we were lucky, said the interim fire chief Ronnie Vadula told reporters. More than 100 firefighters responded to the scene, he said. The collapse of the 18-foot in diameter tunnel was reported at 7:58 p.m. Ventilla said it occurred around 5 to 6 miles away from the entrance, the LFAD has said. Helicopters footage from NBC Los Angeles shows large circular concrete structure at the site, leading to a work area below with construction equipment. Crane lifted the yellow cage and some workers inside at least twice, dropping them safely onto the surface, the video showed. 27 workers were trapped after collapse and 4 others went to assist. The workers had to climb through debris and rescuers came to help them out. Preliminary reports indicate that the workers had to scramble over a 12 to 15 foot pile tall loose soil after the collapse to meet rescuers. Jeez. Well, I'm just glad I'm glad they've been rescued. All of them have been were safe. I'm just glad. That's the main thing there. Good morning, Alston Kia. Hope you're doing well. Working but listening to this. All hail DPR. Thank you for the £5 super chat, and thank you for helping me reach today's super chat goal. Thank you. Yeah, I hope you're having a good day at work, my friend. Honestly, I mean that sincerely. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you. Secret Service suspends 6 personnel without pay following Trump assassination attempt. Southern California bishop suspends mass objections due to immigration fears. Yeah, I'm not going to go for a long walk today. I've already made my mind up. I'll go down to the shops at least this morning, but I'm not going to do a long walk today just because of the temperatures. I do have work to do as well anyway. We talked about Brazil being hit with the Trump tariffs. Job scams are on the rise and more people are falling for them. Protect yourself with these tips. Supreme Court declines to let Florida enforce its new immigration laws. A click-to-cancel rule intended to make cancelling subscriptions easier is blocked. That's not good. This is really, like, for me, about subscriptions. It's really about just keeping on top of things and just making notes that you have subscriptions on things. If you're not using something that you're subscribed to, cancel the subscription. Like, it's really important to... And one of the best ways to know whether you're still paying for something that you don't use is your bank statement will tell you what you've been paying into. So if you don't know about subscriptions that you're paying into, check your bank statement. That's the best way to know. Hiker dies in Grand Canyon as region braces for dangerous temperatures. Supreme Court declines to let Florida enforce its new immigration law. Yeah, I would not hike in the Grand Canyon in this time. I heard it's very, very hot. Southern California bishop suspends mass obligation due to immigration fear. After voting for Trump's mega bill, GOP Senator Josh Hawley wants to reverse a key Medicaid cut. You're not gonna turn it around now. It's too late, mate. Too late, mate. You voted for it. You voted to make Americans' lives worse. You can't say jack all. DHS used anonymous pro-Israel sites to target activists for deportation, agency says in a court. Why am I not surprised by this story? Is anyone surprised by this story? DHS used anonymous pro-Israeli site to target activists for deportation, agency says in court. Yeah, anyone who targets Israel or proactively supports Palestine, yeah, they're going to go after them. This does not surprise me. A story I'm not really surprised at. OpenAI to release a browser in a challenge to Google Chrome. Okay, so it's not good. So OpenAI can be. Oh, what's going on there? My screen just blipped. Did you guys get that? We still live? That was very, very weird. That was very, very weird. Okay, we're going to come out of NBC News. My screen went grey there. That was very, very freaky. Don't know why it did that. But it appears we are still live according to that. I don't know if that was NBC News or if that was my computer. Yeah, we're gonna go away from that. Hopefully, yeah, we're still here. Yeah, it's very, very weird. I don't know if you guys saw what I saw, but we had a grey screen pop up. So I don't know if you guys had that as well. Very, very weird. Right, let's carry on. CBS News here. Texas flood rescue search teams continue to search for missing as death toll climbs. Like I said, we really hope that they find more. I just hope they find more alive people. Yes, of course, we want to recover the bodies. Of course, we want to recover everyone. Absolutely. I just hope they find more people. Maps show devastating flash floods hitting Texas. Well, here's where you can donate. Big Beautiful Bill gives ICE unprecedented funds to ramp up deportations. Yep, unfortunately, when it does give them that. We've talked about that before. That ICE does have more powers, have more money than ever before. It's insane. Why Trump's copper tariffs could raise cost of appliances, cars, and electricity. Russia launches huge attack on Ukraine, dismisses Trump's criticisms. Yeah, because they don't care what Trump has to say. Secret Service suspend 6 personnel on Trump's assassination attempt. That's exclusive from them. And Trump threatens Brazil. Talked about already. Measles cases in the US break a 33-year record. Oh. Yeah, because their health secretary, doesn't believe in vaccines and whatnot. Everything should be immunity. Mystery woman's ID more than 50 years after she was found dead. I will come to that in a moment, my friend. Just bear with me in the comments. Trump picks Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy to leave NASA for now. FIFA opens office in Trump Tower as soccer chief builds close ties to Trump. This is an attempt to keep Trump on side during the football's games. This is to keep them happy. Absolute bollocks. All just to amuse him. Hundreds of small earthquakes detected in Mount Rainier in Washington there as well. Thank you, Alston Keir, for 10 gifted memberships. Very generous, my friend. Thank you. Terry Regan, Sharon Douglas, Random Scottish History, Stephen Banker. It said all okay here. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, your post, your chat post there appeared right in the middle of all the gifted memberships. Firestarter, Bernie Burrows, Weebud, Tim Ballon, Craig Finley, Pouncey, and Billy Kershaw have all been gifted memberships there. Thank you so much for your generosity. That's very generous of you, honestly. Thank you, my friend, for that. It's very kind of you. And good morning, Alex Adams. I hope you are doing well. I think that's all the stories from CBS. Let's switch from there. Let's look at some other news that's happening here. Let's go to Al Jazeera. This is Al Jazeera. Israel forces kill 13 in central Gaza as difficult truce talks continue. So the live update says all pieces point to Israel's goal of pushing Palestinians away from Gaza. Watching displacing Palestinians would be grave violation of international law. Israeli soldier dies by suspected suicide at a military base. Conflicting messages from US Hamas about the status of ceasefire talks. Netanyahu hasn't met any families of the 62 Israeli soldiers killed this year, according to a report. What? According to Israel's Haaretz newspaper, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has failed to meet any of the families of the 62 Israeli soldiers killed in Gaza this year. The report says Netanyahu only managed to visit 2 families who lost family members in previous wars, and those who remained to return to Israel this year. Meanwhile, Netanyahu met with 3 captives and relatives of those held in Gaza since October 23, roughly 50 times, and spoke with them by phone on 36 occasions, the report said. Yeah, because that's much better publicity for him. Yeah, and these are all we've already, and this is just the live feed that will be updating as time goes on. Armenia, Azerbaijan leaders meet in peace talks for the UAE. This is good. Draft deal to end bitter decades-long conflict agreed 4 months ago, but timeline for sealing it remains uncertain. This is good. This is good. The leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan are holding peace talks in UAE after nearly 4 decades of conflict. The meeting in Abu Dhabi on Thursday between the Armenian Prime Minister and the Azerbaijani President, confirmed by both of their governments, come after the 2 countries finalised a draft peace deal in March. The South Caucasus continued to have fought a series of wars since the 1980s when Nagorno-Karabakh, a region in Azerbaijan, had a mostly ethnic Armenian population at the time, broke away from Azerbaijan with support from Armenia. Peace talks began after Azerbaijan recaptured Karabakh in a lightning offensive in September 23, prompting huge exodus of almost all the territory's 100,000 Armenians who fled to Armenia. Yeah, we covered that at the time. But the timeline for sealing the deal remains uncertain. Ceasefire violations, along with heavily militarized, that's 1,000 kilometers shared border, surged soon after the draft deal was announced, though there has no been reported violence recently. In a potential stumbling block to the deal, Azerbaijan says it wants Armenia to change its constitution, which says it implicit its claims to the Azerbaijani territory. Do they want to do that? Probably not. As long as Armenia claims that piece of territory is partly still belongs to theirs, even though Azerbaijani took it back. I think if the Armenian government agrees to this, they will probably be given kick. They will probably be kicked out. They probably will be kicked out. This government, but I think it's a risk they should do. Because there is an opportunity here to put this conflict to bed and actually establish peace between the two nations, which is long overdue. There will always be people on both sides who will want to continue to stir conflict and stir hatred. I really, really hope. I really want this to happen. I really want a deal to be struck, and I really want both sides to have peace. I really, really do. It's just one less war is a good thing, guys. We should all pray that this becomes that a deal is reached. I understand it's not going to be something that's going to be done overnight, and I fully accept that. But I think it would be an absolute massive positive in the world because of everything that has been going on in that part of the world. What else they got here? 6 rescued, 15 missing after Houthi attack on the cargo ship in the Red Sea. Never touch a gun. Colombian fighters step up child soldier recruitment. As Colombian conflicts continue to escalate, criminal organizations increasingly rely on underage soldiers to boost their rankings. Absolutely disgusting. I hate. Why do people use child soldiers? Absolutely, it's so heartless. In Taiwan, migrants flee oppressive workplaces for a life of their precarity. Football, not interested in football. Sorry, guys, for all those football fans out there, and sports. Those are some of the stories from Al Jazeera here. So just a quick reminder, guys. Graham Hughes will have Morning Brew at 9 o'clock, and then at 10:30 there will be Dave McGuinness with the 2 Davies show at 10:30. If you can join in for that, it'd be greatly appreciated. Then the 2 Davies, both Dave McGuinness and David Mulligan, will be hosting their usual show today at 4 p.m. So if you can join in for that, please do. And I will be doing a live stream tonight at 8 o'clock, specifically on America as well. Africa news. Let me just tweak my camera a little bit. So Kenya's president defiant back security forces after deadly protests. This is happening a lot now in Kenya, on a daily basis now. Kenya's president needs to do something because it's not very good for him right now. Great economic potential in Africa. The 5 African leaders have lunch with Trump. Top European court delivered a series of damning rulings against Russia. These are reports on the right-hand side in case anyone's, if you just can't see there. UN reports reveals 4.6 million people struggling with food insecurity. Somalia is currently facing severe food insecurity with 4.6 million individuals experiencing food shortages, as reported by the United Nations on Tuesday. UN spokesperson for the Secretary General Fund reports that 1.8 million children under 5 are anticipated to be acute malnourished this year. This is what happens when you cut aid. And literally, I just come down here at the bottom. It literally says, according to the previous report in the AP, the US Agency for International Development once contributed 65% of Somalia's foreign aid. Spokesperson for the U.S. Department of State told AP severe life-saving USAID humanitarian assistance programs are operational in Somalia, including those provide food and nutrition support for children. These are striving to ensure these programs persist when such aid transitions to State Department on the 1st. However, aid workers expressed concern that the US has not clarified which programs are life-saving or any remaining funding will continue post-July the 1st. Basically, they're saying we value the work that US aid does, to these countries, but we just don't give a fuck, is basically what they're saying. Sorry for swearing, but that's just generally how those in the Trump administration feel about Somalia and other nations. Djokovic voiced his worries at UN partners that the funding shortfall will worsen the humanitarian crisis in Somalia, highlighting that the $1.4 billion hurricane needs and response plan for Somalia is only 15% funded, with just $222 million available. Literally going to kill these people. Literally going to kill them. Absolutely terrible. Can we just go to the front page? Yep. Thank you. Great economic potential of Africa. Nigeria snubbed at the White House summit. Opposition blames Tinubu. So Nigeria didn't get to go. They wanted to go, but they didn't. Top European court delivers a series of damning rulings against Russia. Turkey swelters under soaring heat wave as temperatures expected to go higher. And that's in Turkey there. Just seeing any other stories worth talking about here. Doesn't look like it here. That's some of the stories from Africa News. The Kiev Independent here. 2 kills, 16 injured as Kiev slammed with drones, ballistic missiles in Russia mass attack against Ukraine for the second night in a row. Because this is the only way that Russia can hurt Ukraine is with drones now, because they can't throw bodies in as much as they used to. There. US reportedly resumed some arms deliveries to Ukraine after pause. Yeah, we talked about that already. 1,030,000 troops have been lost, according to the General Staff's reporting. That report is every day. They put that out every day for reference. Estonia may veto EU's 18th sanction package if Russian oil prices are not lowered, Foreign Minister says. Ukraine's unmanned system forces behind every further Russian target hit in June, Commander-in-Chief says. US Congress ready to move forward on Russia sanctions bill, but Trump wants changes, Politico reports. Amid Ukraine's weapon debacle, Trump claims he would know about any decision to halt shipments. Russian attack in Donetsk unblast leaves 3 dead, administrative building destroyed there. Czech Republic to train up 8 Ukrainian F-16 pilots this year as well. Zelensky meets Pope Leo in Rome ahead of Ukrainian recovery conference. Oh, he met the Pope. Very good. I'm glad he met the Pope. I hope the Pope gave him as much blessings as needed, because anything that gives them a blessing right now is much, much needed right now. Just got a couple minutes left. We'll have a quick look at the Euro news. If we have time, we'll have a look at the New York Times as well. This is in front of them. EU Parliament censors votes, leaves Ursula von der Leyen weakened. Trump threatens Brazil. We talked about that already. Russia attacks Kiev overnight, causing fires. Kind of talked about that already. Exclusive says a new militia emerges in Gaza to challenge Hamas's control. And Armenia and Azerbaijan move closer to peace, pushing Russia out. What is this exclusive? Can we get rid of this giant? Please go away, ad. Thank you. The Popular Forces, a new Palestinian militia in Gaza, aims to challenge Hamas and its rule. However, skepticism surrounds the group over its ability to assert itself, as well as its leader and its criminal past. A 300-member-strong Palestinian militia has emerged in Gaza, aiming to liberate the Strip from Hamas. And now it says they have the backing of Israel. You honestly think Israel cares about you? The group, calling itself the Popular Forces, operates in eastern Rafah under the leadership of Yasser, a Bedouin man to his 30s who spent years in Hamas detention for criminal activities. Before the October 7 attacks, freed him from prison. According to comments made exclusively Euro News, not to be confused with Somalia's Islamic extremists, the first banded group together in June 2024. Popular Forces also goes by the motto Anti-Terror Service, describe themselves as volunteers from among the people who protect humanitarian aid from loot and corruption and organised theft by Hamas-affiliated groups. We're not professional fighters, nor we are militia. We do not engage in guerrilla tactics, warfare tactics, group said in a statement to Euro News. Hamas was responding with direct assassinations against Popular Force members, going on a show of force against potential rival organisations despite months of Israeli military strikes. Hamas has killed over 50 of our volunteers, including members of the Commander Yasser family, We were guarding aid convoys, the Popular Forces spokesperson has said. Yeah, you guys were protecting the aid. Okay, yeah, we're gonna take the word of a militia on that. Yeah, are we gonna take the word of a militia? Probably not. I'm not gonna take the word of a militia on that. I'm just gonna take a giant, massive pinch of salt on that, guys. Only leaned over to pick a cup from the coffee and saw stars and nearly passed out with pain. Give me childbirth over that. Anyway, says Alex Adams. Wow, American infight is not going to go down well, says Stephen Banker. Also, Alex Adams said earlier. He's just saying hello to everyone. Wow, just checked 18 months as a member. Now the time has flown by. I know. Thank you so much for being a member for so long. You were one of the first at the beginning, my friend. Thank you. 18 months is a long time. It's a long time, guys. But the channel continues to grow and continues to prosper. And come rain, snow, heat, or cold, I always try to be here as much as I possibly can for you guys. And we are done, guys. It is 9 o'clock. We're not going to have to leave New York Times. Tomorrow we'll cover both UK and world news on a Friday. That's what we do. So if you guys want to join me for that show, please feel free to do so there, guys. Graham Hughes will be starting Morning Brew in a moment. I will head out. I'm not going to do my walk. I'm just going to pop to the shops today because I do have other stuff that needs to get done anyway. But thank you guys for all coming along. Thank you, Stephen Moore and Aston, for your super chats. For reached today's goal. Really appreciate it, guys. I will be back tonight at 8 p.m. Unless something changes, I'll let you guys know. But I'm going to be doing live streams specifically on America. It's called Snowflake on America. I just want to remind you guys as well that I'm still working on changing a lot of the thumbnails on things. So a lot of the live streams, some of the titles of them are going to be changing from next week as well, so I just want to let you guys know on that as well. And we have upcoming the Eco Flake show, myself and One Angry Pagan. Later this month we got the roundtable, and I've already got one guest for next month's roundtable as well. So there's lots coming forward here on this channel, and at some point I'm probably going to try and get a chat with at some point in the future with Van Man Talks or Damon Guinness in the future. We'll definitely look to that as well. But thank you guys all for coming along. Guys, as I said, it's going to be very warm out there. Please take care of yourself. Please stay hydrated, drink plenty, and just take care of yourself because it really is. It's not good out there today, and my computer is going crazy, so I better end it now. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you can, hit the like, share, and subscribe button on your way out, and I hope to catch you all very soon.